Hello everyone, good morning. True zero emissions here. So we have the Wolfking GTR. So we have a 2500 watt hour battery. I want to say a few things about that. Excuse me. That means we can draw 2500 watts from that battery for 1 hour, and then it would be fully depleted. It also means that now that I can charge with a level 2 charging station, which tend to be no less, even though they can be up to 40,000 watts. That's what I was told. They can be up to 40,000 watts, but they tend to not build them that way. And I guess they seem to be no less than 6,600 watts. I haven't seen any lower than that. We're talking about level 2 charging stations, which is a J1772 plug, right? So we use a 5-15 plug for our wall outlets here. And that's for our 110 and 120 volt power here. Here in California, sunny California. So hypothetically speaking, theoretically speaking, scientifically speaking, to be concise, if we were able to put that 6,600 watts into that battery, because this is a question Cameron asked me. Cameron said to me, what happens if we can put all the power in a wall into a battery? So I think the wall outlet can handle about 20 amps, right, maximum. And that's about 120 volts at 20 amps, okay? We'd have to calculate amps times volt to find out how many watts that is. But let's see, 20 amps times 2,000 watts. I think we can probably calculate this because 2 times 2 is 4. And we add the zeros, right? So we have a 20, which has 1 0, and we have a 20. I'm confusing myself right now. I might have to write this down. I'll try to figure it out right now. I'm tired too. What numbers are we looking at? So we're going with Cameron's question. Cameron's question was, what if we put all the power from a wall into a battery, right? So first, that would have to be converted to DC. That's simple. We just put it into a full wave bridge rectifier, right? Those cost about $2.50. They could be purchased anywhere, Amazon, just about anywhere, right? I want to make sure it can handle at least, I would say go with a 250 volt full wave bridge rectifier, and make sure it can handle probably a 50 amp one, right? That's like $2.50 last time I checked. Now, if the battery could handle that just going straight in, that's the question, right? That might be a good experiment to do, where I can slowly turn the power up, because there's a 60 cycle per second that's going to be going through that full wave bridge rectifier and into the battery. So we're not charging the battery in a traditional sense, right? Where DC tends to be smooth, like that constant voltage, constant current. And we're going through filters and lots of things that I don't even know the names of. But we're just going directly with the wall, whatever the wall's giving us, right? So let's think about how much power that is. I'll see if I can calculate it. I just started to get a headache trying to think about it because my brain is not wanting to focus on that right now, or it's trying to grasp at the information, and it's not able to do it. But I'll give it another chance right now and see if the headache can get less or bigger. Let's find out. So if we have 120 volts at 20 amps, the problem is that my calculator's on my phone, and I'm making a video right now, so I cannot use the calculator while I'm talking to you. Well, let me see. Let's just call it 100 volts, and let's call it 20 amps still. 1 times, okay, so 100 has 2 zeros in it, and then 20 amps has 1 0 in it, so we're going to add 3 zeros all together, right? And then we're going to say so it's 100 volts, so that's 1 times 2 is 2 with 3 zeros, so that's 2,000. So it's 2,000. Yeah, I was thinking it would be around 2,000 watts, and I think it actually is closer to like 1,800 watts, and you could pop the circuit breaker if you go over 1,800 watts. Usually heaters are around 1,500 watts, and they can make the breaker pop if you have a couple more things plugged into it, right? So we'll just say 2,000 watts right now. We'll just say that, even though if you can't go that high, I don't know if we wouldn't want to go much higher than 1,500 watts, but let's say 2,000 watts. So let's say we're putting 2,000 watts, and that's a watt hour. So that's 2,000 watts for an hour, right? Oh, wow. I like that question, Cameron. See, when someone asks me something, I don't stop thinking about it, which is great. The bad thing about that is when someone comes on the comments and they ask, they're just kind of taking me in circles, or they're talking about things that have nothing to do with what I'm doing. It still is in my mind, and I have nothing to do with it. Like, I can't do anything with it. It's just there. So it's kind of like stepping on stickers when you're barefooted. It's like, ow, that hurts, ow, ow. Or it's just like, it's like tripping on stuff, like debris like if the house is really dirty and I'm tripping on things, like this path, if this path had things all over and I was tripping. So that's why I turn the comments, no new comments now, because I'm trying to focus, and I am focusing. It's working. As you can see, I'm making videos, I'm thinking clear, but I need that kind of that space, right? So that's why I say keep making videos, and I'll watch your videos. You can make videos about things you're thinking about, and I'll see them. Especially if you're experimenting and learning, right? If you're or just sharing thought experiments. You don't have to be doing anything experimentally wise. You could just be doing thought experiments, and that's exciting to me too, because I like to think about things. So yeah, my Roger charger is 2,000 watts actually. It's it can go up to 140 volts, 146 volts at 15 amps. And when you multiply those numbers together, I think it's around 2,000 watts. So I did calculate that before, and it did come out to 2,000 watts. So I can actually charge this scooter. Well, this scooter is 84 volts, and I can go 84 volts at 15 amps. So I don't know how many watts that is. That's going to be probably maybe around 1,200 watts or 1,300 watts. 1,500, it might be 1,500 watts or less. I don't recall exactly. But going back to Cameron's question, where we think about, could we just convert the AC into DC with a full wave bridge rectifier, right? A $2.50 part. And then have some way of controlling the power. So we slowly turn up the power and let it go into a battery, right? Now, one thing we're not going to want to do is let the voltage of the battery ever exceed its full voltage. And that's just something I would not want to do, especially with lithium, especially with anything. But with lead acid, it can be more lenient depending on what's charging it, okay? So with lead acid, I've heard of people using the pulses, right? The pulses. And I'm talking about John Bedini's pulses, right? John Bedini, Tom Bearden, Donald Lee Smith, and hundreds of others, including thousands and even millions of YouTube experimenters. The problem is, the challenge is there's so many videos out there, is that when I'm talking to people, they're talking about like spark plugs and free energy spark plugs and stuff. And I'm like, I'm trying to talk about how to charge a battery. And they're like, well, I am talking about how to charge a battery. And I'm like, well, how do I relate to this person? You know, because we're both talking about such different things. And I don't have knowledge of what they're talking about, and I cannot relate to what they're talking about. And I'm not sure they're interested in what I'm talking about, or just cannot grasp what I'm talking about. So therein lies one of the challenges, is how do we connect with one another, right? But we can certainly listen to one another with enthusiasm and curiosity and absolute respect, right? That's not going to happen on the internet in the comments. Someone can start out nice and end nice, or be nice whenever they feel like it, and be rude, crude, irrelevant, changing the subject, talking about things that have nothing to do with anything on my channel. And I'm not able to appreciate that because I'm not able to use that in any way that I can think of myself. I guess I just lack the creativity to reimagine what someone's sharing with me and to translate that into something that I can use for my projects, what I'm doing. So we're at 9 minutes. We're going to start a new video to make sure this one uploads quickly. I don't want to go too long on this. So I have no idea what I'll call this video, but we'll see you soon.